Let me ask you something. If no one had ever made fun of you, picked you apart, compared you to someone else, or made a single comment about your body, your skin, your voice, your personality, would you even feel insecure today? Exactly. You probably wouldn't. Because most of your insecurities, they are not even yours. They are old lies that were planted by the world and repeated by you. Who decided you're not pretty? Who decided that your nose wasn't ideal? Your hair wasn't the right texture? Your body wasn't in the right shape? Who made this rule of beauty standards? Who? Because it sure as hell wasn't God. If God made you with intention, with heritage, with generations of beauty in your face, your features, they are literally a mosaic, a collage of your ancestry, your roots, your bloodline, your history. You weren't meant to look like everyone else because you come from a long list of people and generations. That was never your goal, to look like everyone. You were made to look simply like you. And even when you zoom out, beauty standards have never been stable. What was considered gorgeous, drop dead gorgeous a century ago would barely get noticed today because beauty standards shift, it evolves, it's made up. So why would you ever base your confidence on a trend which you know can change like that? Please understand that you were never supposed to fit in a mold. You were just born to break it and be free of it and be you, look like you. And in this video, we are going there. We're unlearning everything that made you feel not enough. We're calling out every lie that you've believed about your face, your worth, your energy, and we're building real sense of confidence, the kind that doesn't depend on filters, validation, trends, because they keep changing, or outside approval. Because your insecurities, please understand that they are not facts. And sorry if I'm screaming at you, but your insecurities are not facts. And your beauty, it was never up for debate. So let's begin. But first, understand this core concept that if your brain is powerful enough to repeat a lie and almost make it real, make your insecurity out of nowhere real, then that means that it's just as powerful as repeating the truth that you are beautiful and making that feel real too. And that's what we're doing here today. We're not just getting over our insecurities, because that's not really the point. You can have new insecurities come in at any point in your life. We are reclaiming them, we're understanding them, rewriting the story, and then actually turning them into fuel, so that if you have another insecurity pop out because you watch a social media trend, you know how to get rid of it from the root. Because I know how exhausting it is to live a life where self-doubt runs the show. You cannot live as your full potential when your insecurities decide what you wear, how you speak, what you post, what you go for, what you attend. But I promise you, you don't have to stay in that place. If you've ever felt held back by fear of being seen, fear of being judged by your appearance, by your past, or just by your inner voice that keeps telling you that you're behind, this video is for you. Because I believe that there's truly another way to live, a way that feels softer, more freer, more confident. Not because you fixed yourself, because that's not possible, but because you finally started seeing yourself and that there is nothing to fix. So let's talk, let's heal through this video, and let's rewrite the script. Firstly, let me get this into your head. Let's get this straight, that insecurities are not facts. They're not some objective measurement of your worth. They are perceptions that are shaped by past experiences, external comments, by people who project, social media, childhood conditioning, and honestly pure lies that have just been repeated so many times that you just start believing them. Think about it. As a child, as a toddler, you never decided that you're not enough. When did you first look in the mirror and start picking yourself apart? Was it one comment from someone in your school, bullies, a comparison to someone online, a parent or teacher who made a subtle dig at you that stayed with you? That is how your insecurities are picked up, through the external world, not because of yourself. And insecurities are learned beliefs. They're just beliefs that you have learned, and what's learned can be unlearned as well. So before we even talk about fixing our insecurities, I want you to sit with this, that you were not born doubting yourself. A toddler doesn't just start doubting themselves because they don't know what beauty standards even are. You were taught to do that, and if that was taught to you because of the toxic society we live in, it also can be untaught, rewired, and then replaced. This is your life, and you're not going to get to the end of it by being proud of how well you just hid your insecurities. You're not going to remember the days that you stayed quiet to be liked. You're going to actually wish that you had loved yourself harder earlier. So let this be that moment where you stop waiting for permission. No one is coming to approve of you. You just have to approve of yourself. That's all you need to do. So let me give you actual steps that work. Follow these steps all in an order and do it repeatedly for a few weeks and months, and they are so powerful. I've been doing them. Trust me, you won't even notice, but you're going to move a little differently and attract all these opportunities in your life that you want your highest self to experience. So let me give you the good sauce. Number 1 is to call out the origin of your insecurities. You trace it back like a detective. Now, why this works is because most people walk around thinking that their insecurities are just a part of their identity now. They are glued to their identity and their mind because they constantly say things like, I'm not confident, I've never liked how I look, I cannot wear sleeveless clothes, I just don't like my arms, I have always been awkward, I don't like the shape of my nose, it's slanted. All of that. Insecurities can really take up your whole life. But that's not true. You were not born disliking yourself. Like I said, that narrative was all picked up throughout your childhood, throughout your school life, and throughout your whole life in general. And when you stop and actually ask, where did this insecurity come from? Where did I learn this? You then create an energetic gap between you and the belief, the gap where the healing truly begins. Because now you can look at that insecurity not as a truth, but as a program that was just installed in your software, a script or a thought that got repeated so many times that you actually feel like it's a fact. And here's where the real reframe comes in. If it was learned, it can be unlearned. If it was planted, it can be uprooted easily. So let me tell you how to go about that. You want to take a piece of paper, maybe your journal, make this a ritual and write down your 3 top insecurities for that week, month, or period of time. The ones that come up fast and make you feel the most self-conscious, like you cannot get over them for months and months on. So now underneath each one, ask yourself these 3 questions. Firstly, when did I first feel this way? Go back in time, I don't care, sit with it. Go back in time. Was it something that started in childhood? Was it something that you saw as a TikTok trend? Was there a moment that triggered it that you remember? Get specific, as specific as you can. And then 2 is, who made me feel like this? If someone did, was it a family member? Was it a child at school, a teacher who did something casually, but it stuck with you because things stick with children? Was it someone you dated? Identify the voice that planted that seed. And the number 3 is, what made this belief stick with you? Maybe it was a repeated comment by someone, maybe 2 or 3 people said it to you, or maybe something you picked up in media, like on social media, in comment sections of people saying how their nose looks fat. Maybe you kept being praised only when you looked a certain way, or when you did your makeup right, or when you wore specific clothes. Maybe no one ever challenged it, so your brain assumed that this is my now reality and my truth. So here's an example of what your entry could look like. This is completely made up. Say your insecurity is that I hate my voice, and you trace it back to when you were 12 and someone laughed at you when you spoke in class. And then later a friend even mocked you for the way you sounded in a video that you recorded. You started avoiding hearing recordings of yourself, and now years later, you just avoid opportunities that involve using your voice. And how sad is that? That you've been gifted with such a beautiful voice which you can express all your thoughts, and you're just not doing that because you don't like the way you sound? And is your voice really bad, or did just 2 careless kids comment, creating a false narrative that you've been reinforcing ever since? Who decides what sounds good and what doesn't sound good? Once you see that clearly, you can then reclaim that part of yourself. You realize that your insecurity isn't some deep flaw in you. It's actually an emotional scar from a moment where you didn't get the support that you needed. And now you get to be the one who supports yourself. You get to rewrite that moment. You get to go back in time. You get to choose a new belief about yourself. And I'm telling you, once you truly think about it and you trace the origin of your insecurity, because every insecurity has to have an origin, you take your power back. You know where it's coming from. You stop looking at yourself like a problem that you need to fix, and you start seeing the conditioning for what it really is. Who put this into you? Who put this idea into you? Maybe they were insecure about themselves, but that's their issue. You have to work on yours. And maybe it was a glitch in your system, a wound or a moment you survived, but it never updated. But then now you're grown up and you get to be an adult, mature version of yourself that says that was never about me. That was about someone else's projection. Maybe they didn't like the way they sounded. Maybe they were too scared to speak up in class, so they had to put me down by pointing out at my voice. And I'm done carrying it. I'm not going to take it further with me because that's not about me. And then the step number 2 in this process is to put that insecurity on a trial. Challenge the thought like you're a lawyer. Like, put them on a podium. Your brain believes what it hears on repeat, even if it's a lie. So if you keep telling it that I'm not enough, or I'll never be pretty, confident, successful, that is your default background noise. Eventually your nervous system treats it as a truth. But just because the thought feels so real in the moment, does it mean it is? No, absolutely not. When you start treating your insecurity like a claim instead of almost a fact, you flip that dynamic. You go from being the victim of your thoughts to then being the investigator of your thought, right? And as all spiritual leaders say that you are not your thoughts. You're a higher consciousness that is just observing your thoughts come and go, because we have, I don't even know the number, maybe 50,000 to 60,000 thoughts a day. So they keep coming and going. You're just an observer of them. And you get to choose what you give power to. So when you investigate your insecurity like a lawyer, you stop reacting emotionally and you start looking at evidence objectively like a lawyer would. And that's when the illusion just breaks. So the next time that your brain whispers one of those old lines like, I'm not good enough, I always mess it up, I never work out, I'm not lovable, pause. Like, say this to yourself and say, pause. Literally say it in your brain. Don't argue. Put it on standby. And then I want you, the higher observer of the thought, and then I want you, the higher observer, the higher consciousness, to ask questions to the thought. Like, speak with your thought. Ask questions like, what actual evidence do you have for this? Whatever you're saying, do you have evidence? If no, then bye. Is this thought always true, or is it based on one moment that I never healed from? And this you would have done in the first part of the video that I mentioned. Or would I let my best friend or my lover or someone I truly love believe this about themselves? And most probably you would not. You would reassure them. And then once you speak to your thoughts as a higher observer, you always find that there's no real case. You're carrying a verdict that was never fully confirmed to be true. And your higher self, the version of you who's clear, calm, and self-aware and can spot that insecurity, knows better. She knows this thought doesn't belong to her identity anymore. So what you're doing here is you're challenging every insecure thought, every negative thought that you have about yourself, and then they don't just disappear. They will eventually, but they dissolve. They almost like fall into clarity, and you're like, that doesn't really make sense. True. So you're giving your subconscious a lot of proof with it when you're talking to your thoughts, and you're reaffirming it, and then you're like making it dissolve. You create space between you and the lie, and that's where confidence is born. Not from perfection, but from saying that no, that thought doesn't hold up in court anymore, and we're done giving it power. It doesn't make any sense rationally. And the number 3 is to shift the language, but try and keep it honest. So I know that affirmations have a lot of hype and I love them, I believe in them, but the truth is that they don't work if you don't believe in them. Like, if you say outrightly that I am the most gorgeous person in the world and you don't believe that, they will not work. Telling yourself that I am beautiful or I love my body when your inner critique is so deeply conditioned and screaming that no, you don't, only will create resistance, which we don't want. Your brain is smart. It's not going to suddenly accept a new random belief if it contradicts what you've been repeating for years. And that's why I'm not trying to tell you that you need to jump right away from hate to love. You just need a bridge towards the love. And that's why I wanted to have this point in, because you need to start using neutral, believable language that your brain doesn't reject. So it will lean in slowly, it will start listening, and that's how real transformation begins, because your subconscious will be like, maybe what she's saying is true. So the next time that you hear that harsh inner voice say something like, I hate my arms, I look disgusting, I'm never going to be confident, again, say the word pause. Catch that, be calm about it, reframe it, but keep it a little honest. And then try saying things like, I'm learning to treat my body with more kindness. I'm learning to move my body more, to have a body that I feel healthy in. I'm open to seeing this part of me differently, or this part of me has been judged, but I don't have to agree with that judgment anymore. Or that this isn't perfect, but it doesn't have to be for me to show up. This is cognitive reprogramming. You're gently shifting your brain's language from shame to self-acceptance. You're not faking positivity, you're just building a foundation for it. And then that neutral thought, it becomes a softer one. It becomes a more normal one. The soft one will then become confident. And then one day you will say, I actually love this about myself, and I believe it. Like, if your nose is something you're struggling with, you will actually love your nose. I'm not joking. You'll genuinely look into the mirror and be like, how did I ever hate this? It's such a gorgeously arched, beautiful shaped nose that comes from my ancestries. And here, let me bring up one of my favorite movie metaphors. I love this movie. I think I've even spoken about it in one of my other videos. If I have, sorry that I'm mentioning it again. It's called I Feel Pretty. And if you haven't watched it, and if you're watching my video after this, please go and watch the movie. It's so related to the topic. It is genius. Okay, so in the movie, the main character, she's basically deeply insecure about her body, her appearance, all of it. She plays small, she will second guess herself, and nothing in her life is really clicking because deep down, she doesn't feel good about herself. She doesn't feel good enough. Then one day, in like a literal old sense, you can say magic movement, like a twist, she hits her head, and then suddenly, when she looks into the mirror, she sees the perfect version of herself. Not actually physically, but in her mind, she believes that she is gorgeous, she believes that she's magnetic, and that she's her ideal person that she always wanted to be. And then guess what happens? everything changes like that. She starts walking with confidence. She wears clothes that she actually wanted to wear. She speaks up in rooms where she never did. She gets on stage, does a whole ass dance performance. She attracts love, which she found the hardest. She radiates, all because her mind is just finally aligned with the version of herself she always wanted to be. But towards the end of the movie, we see that nothing actually changed. She is the same lady. She has the same face. She has the same body. She has the same abilities. All that changed was her beliefs, and the world just responded to that. Because people don't react on how you look. They react to how you carry yourself. This movie is a literal embodiment of this point that I'm saying. It's not about faking it. It's about choosing a belief that makes your body feel safe enough to expand then. That's what these bridge thoughts are. They let you walk slowly but steadily towards the version of you who doesn't need to be perfect to be powerful. What is perfect? Nothing. So yeah, start changing your language, start changing the way you speak to yourself, but don't force it. Keep it like a bridge thought. Make it honest, make it gentle for yourself, and watch what happens when you start meeting yourself where you are right now. So waiting to become someone instantly like 10,000 times better, because you're allowed to be kind to yourself. And then number 4 is my favorite one, is to take one brave action, because evidence is louder than fear. You can't think your way into confidence. You have to prove yourself as well. Wrong through action. Your brain updates through experience as well. When you do something your insecurity told you not to and nothing bad happens, your nervous system gets rewired. It's literally nervous system retraining through experience and action. So one day, honestly, I want you to wear something that you're so scared to wear, that you're so insecure to wear, maybe because your arms show or you feel like your belly shows or whatever it is. You need to wear that and survive, and you're gonna see how many compliments you get that day. Start a conversation that you've been avoiding and notice that you didn't crumble. You made it through the conversation. Post a picture without editing it 50 times if you do, and see how freeing that feels. It's almost like exposure therapy, but for your self-worth. Each time that you act, in spite of that insecurity speaking, you tell it to pause and you just act. Your brain will create new evidence through that it's safe now. Maybe I'm not as unlovable as I thought. Maybe I don't need to be perfect to be accepted. Go on dates, do things, find love if you wanna. If your insecurity is stopping you from finding love, if your insecurity is stopping you from starting your business, start it and you will see that you'll make it. And that's what builds that true confidence, with evidence, not only perfection, not praise, but with proof. And then number 5 is to make your insecurity boring after all of this. Like starve it, starve the spiral. Insecurity needs attention to survive. It needs a lot of attention to survive. It feeds on repetition. So every time that you ruminate, you spiral, you zoom in on that one flaw in the mirror or in that photo, you're reinforcing that insecurity. It's having a lot of fun because it's getting a lot of attention. But when you stop reacting to that, it weakens slowly. It'll go, like your memory will fade about it. It becomes background noise. So next time that an insecurity pops up, obviously once you've done all of my other 4 parts, don't spiral, observe it like a passing cloud. Like, because I'm not saying it will not come up, it's programming, it will, but you need to just observe it and let it go. There's a thought again, we've been here before, but I'm not going to go down that road today. Or I see you, but I'm not giving you any attention or energy today. I have a lot of other things. Keep yourself busy. And pair this with, again, redirection. Be busy. Do something that grounds you. Edit your video, film your video, go for a walk, stretch, walk, breathe. Do something that channels that energy outwards. You can journal about it, you can clean your room, you can move around. Do something that reminds you who you are. If you want, go do your makeup if that makes you feel good. Do a journal entry. Look at a photo of you when you felt confident. So that kind of puts you back into that mood. Listen to a badass playlist. Over time, this teaches your brain that we don't need to obsess over that anymore, and your insecurity is starved of attention and it will fade. And lastly, the most important, I've said that for every point, but this is also very important, is to curate your environment. Your inputs shape your identity. You can't heal your insecurities if you're living in an environment that keeps triggering them, like puts a pin on them. Think about it, even if you're doing the inner work, if you're constantly observing your insecurities pass, you're doing everything what I've said in this video, but then you're constantly consuming content, conversations, meeting people, or energy that makes you feel less than, your brain is going to internalize that. Your self-worth doesn't live in a vacuum. It's impacted by what you see, what you hear, what you absorb. every single day. And your environment, it's not neutral. It is programming you in smallest of ways every single day, whether you realize that or not. So if you want to feel confident and secure in yourself, you need to stop passively consuming energy that contradicts that and start curating it instead. Start literally treating your environment, if you're serious about getting rid of your insecurities, like your mental skincare routine. No more letting in toxic energy, toxic friends, toxic people just because it's normal. You can unfollow. There's an unfollow button. You can mute accounts that you feel are just triggering that insecurity, even if they're aspirational at the point. But for some time, you can go on like a detox. If you find yourself comparing, spiraling, or questioning your worth every time you scroll past a content creator, you can mute them for some time. And number 2 is surround yourself with mirrors. What I mean by that is that some people will reflect that kindness back to you, and that is great. Keep them in your life, but others will just magnify your worst fears because they are really deeply insecure themselves. So you need to start auditing people around your life. Audit your friendships if you need to. Have people in your life that you support and support you back. They don't need to be magnifying your insecurities with you. That is a no-no. Do they make you feel safe to show up raw and unfiltered? If you're uncomfortable without makeup, are you comfortable going in front of this person, or you know they're going to make a comment so you don't? They shouldn't be in your life. Or do you constantly shrink around them? Your nervous system can feel a difference. So choose mirrors of people always. And the number 3 is to kind of curate your following list. Follow people who embody the energy you're calling in, not just aesthetically but energetically as well. Follow aspirational women who walk in their truth, who speak with confidence and softness and power, who celebrate their uniqueness, not their perfection. And that's what you want your brain to be exposed to daily. Watch podcasts if you want to, read books, anything to just make your environment as fulfilling to you in this journey. Even if it's just a clean desk, a candle, a mirror with a sticky note that says you're doing better than you think. Every tiny little cue for your brain around you should say that this is a space where I'm allowed to feel good and allowed to kind of remove my insecurities from the root, because you're not too much of a person. You're not almost there. You are it. Like you, the way you are it, period. So if you learned anything new from this video, drop it down in the comment. I would love to hear. I want to hear your story. I want to speak it into existence with you. You're not alone on this journey. And the more that we talk about it over here as a community, the more I feel like we can take our power back together and like create like a positive environment for each other. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe for more soul shifting content, and share this with one friend that you want to uplift today, because we are here to uplift each other and just help them get through their insecurities if you know they have any. I love you and I value each and every one of you trying to grow on this journey with me, and you're already more than enough. Remember that, and I'll see you in the next one.